Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive, and specifically to our Baha'i Reflections focus. Today, we're embarking on something pretty profound, I think. We're diving deep into spiritual confidence. And this isn't just, feeling good about yourself. We're really digging into the Baha'i Writings passages from Bahá'u'lláh, Abdu'l-Bahá, and Shoghi Effendi to see what they reveal. Our mission really is to understand what this spiritual confidence truly looks like for a Baha'i. How's it different from, say, worldly self-assurance, and what kind of impact does it have? Not just on us, but on our communities too. Maybe start by thinking about this. How can really relying on the divine actually turn fear into courage or hesitation into, well, real action?
It's a great starting point. And interestingly, the sources themselves immediately make a key distinction. They define this confidence, and this is crucial, not as self-assurance born of pride, but as a deep reliance upon the divine.
Okay, reliance on the divine, not pride.
It's a certainty that God's assistance is ever present and that his will guides all things to their destined perfection. That shift away from ego is everything. It's not about our own, limited strength or smarts. It's about plugging into something infinite, God's power, wisdom, love. And if you look at the bigger picture, this becomes this incredibly empowering quality. It's not passive.
Right.
It's what fuels service. It builds that absolute trust in God's guidance, even when things get tough. It allows us to keep moving forward, to keep building, even through trials when the way isn't clear. So our hope today is really that exploring these words might, uplift your heart, maybe help set aside some fears, and just renew that deep trust.
That distinction is so important right from the start. Reliance, not self-reliance. It changes the whole frame. Okay, so let's unpack this with our first passage. This one's from Baha'u'lláh, from the tablets of Baha'u'lláh. Put your whole trust and confidence in God, who never fails to answer the call of the distressed, nor withholds his tender mercies from those who are disconsolate. Quote, walk in his ways with the assurance that his help will be vouchsafed to you at every step, that his hand will guide your path, and that his power will overcome all obstacles. Be confident in his promise, steadfast in your resolve, and joyful in your service, for the hosts of his kingdom are ever ready to aid you when you arise with pure motives for his sake. Wow, okay. God never fails to answer the call of the distressed. That's a huge statement. But how does this idea of God's unfailing help actually translate into our daily lives, overcoming real obstacles? How do we feel that?
Well, this passage is incredibly rich because it emphasizes the active nature of God's help. It's not passive hope. It doesn't just say God might help. It says help will be vouchsafed at every step. His hand will guide. His power will overcome obstacles.
Right. It's very direct, active verbs.
Exactly. It's an invitation to engage with that support, knowing it's always there. So for a Baha'i, living this means actively walking in his ways, trying to align your actions, your thoughts, with those divine teachings, integrity, love, justice, and doing so with assurance, knowing that when you make sincere efforts for God's sake, serving the community, personal growth, helping others, you literally attract aid.
The hosts of his kingdom.
Right. And that's not just poetry. It signifies real, unseen spiritual assistance, a kind of divine collaboration that kicks in when our motives are pure. It's like opening a channel for spiritual energy. Maybe it comes as an insight, an unexpected resource, or just sudden courage. And what's really key here is how it shapes your resolve. It brings joy into service. Why?
Because you're not carrying the burden alone.
Precisely. The burden of the outcome, of success or failure, is lifted from your shoulders. And that's liberating. It frees up your energy to focus purely on the sincerity of the action, not the result. You become more present, maybe more effective, because you're not crippled by fear of failure.
So it transforms service from a duty, maybe, into something joyful because divine power is working with you. That does change everything.
It really does. And think about the effect on others. When someone truly lives this, they move differently. There's a visible assurance, a kind of deep joy, a purposefulness that can be really magnetic, really inspiring. Imagine someone facing a huge challenge, personal crisis, community issue, something that feels overwhelming. If they're just relying on themselves, they might be crushed by the weight of it. But if they've internalized this passage,
they'd approach it differently.
Completely. With a kind of calm certainty, resilience, purpose. Because their focus isn't just on their own limited capacity, but on God's infinite capacity. And that demonstrates to everyone watching that there's another way to face adversity rooted in spiritual strength, not just grit. It can spark courage in others, too.
Like a ripple effect, yeah. Your confidence inspires confidence. That leads perfectly into our next passage, which talks directly about fear. This is from Baha'u'llah's Hidden Words. O friend, in the garden of thy heart, plant naught but the rose of love, and from the nightingale of affection and yearning, Let thy soul take wing toward the eternal nest. Trust in the bounty of God and be confident in his protection, for he will never abandon thee to the storms of the world. With a heart free from fear, walk in the path of service, for the guardian of thy soul is awake and watchful, and the light of his guidance will ever shine upon thy way. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. A heart free from fear, even amidst the storms of the world. That feels almost impossible sometimes with all the uncertainty we face. How does this divine protection actually enable fearlessness? Is it just ignoring the danger?
No, definitely not ignoring danger. It's about connecting confidence directly to freedom from fear. The foundation is that assurance. He will never abandon thee, and the guardian of thy soul is awake and watchful. That's constant vigilance. Yes. And the light of his guidance isn't fragile. It will ever shine. It's a reliable inner compass. So this confidence allows a Baha'i to fundamentally shift their focus. Instead of getting consumed by worldly worries, anxieties about things that pass away.
You plant the rose of love instead.
Exactly. You cultivate love, affection, and direct your soul towards spiritual, eternal goals. The eternal nest. And that shift directly enables fearless action, fearless service. You can step into difficult situations knowing with certainty you're not alone, you're protected. It's an inner peace that loosens fear's grip, freeing you to act with courage and clarity.
So redirecting focus from the storms to the eternal protection, that is liberating. And how does someone like that, someone living with that kind of fearlessness, impact others?
Oh, profoundly. Someone operating from that deep place of fearlessness becomes a kind of steady anchor for people around them. They radiate calm, assurance, even when things are chaotic. It's not fake. It's genuine inner peace from trust.
You can feel that in people sometimes.
You really can. They become living proof that divine trust works, inspiring others to maybe let go of their own fears and anxieties, to tap into that same source of strength. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What could society look like if more people genuinely walked with that heart free from fear, rooted in divine confidence?
Yeah. How would that change things?
Think about our collective responses to crises, pandemics, conflicts, economic stress. If fear wasn't the primary driver.
Less panic, maybe. More cooperation.
Exactly. Maybe more calm, reasoned action. More unity based on trust and a higher purpose, rather than division driven by fear and self-preservation. It could foster a collective resilience, shifting us from being reactive to being proactively hopeful, cooperative.
Wow. A shift from personal fearlessness to collective resilience. That's powerful. But okay, what about direct opposition? Real trials. Those things test anyone's confidence. Let's turn to Abdu'l-Bahá now, from selections from the writings of Abdu'l-Bahá. Be not dismayed, O servant of God, at the forces that strive against the cause. The hosts of the kingdom are marshaled, and the power of the covenant is invincible. Place all thy confidence in God's unfailing assistance, for he is the protector of the faithful and the refuge of the weak. Though the tempest may rage and the darkness may deepen, the dawn will surely break, and the victory of the cause will be made manifest in the fullness of time. Take courage, therefore, and remain unwavering in thy service. So this speaks directly to those forces that strive against the cause, opposition, challenges, and that promise, the dawn will surely break. What does that really mean when you're in the darkness? How does confidence relate to that?
This passage, and the next one we'll look at, really gets to the heart of confidence during adversity. It's not about avoiding the storm. It's about having an unshakable core within it. Those forces striving against the cause can be anything: direct opposition, criticism, yes, but also internal doubt, apathy, just the sheer size of the task. And the response isn't worldly combat, but rooting yourself in spiritual reality.
In the power of the covenant being invincible.
Exactly. For Baha'is, the covenant is that sacred promise ensuring the faith's unity and protection. Its invincibility means God's plan cannot ultimately fail no matter the opposition. That certainty is huge. It means even if the tempest rages and darkness deepens, the outcome is guaranteed. The dawn will surely break.
But in the fullness of time, not necessarily right now.
Right. It calls for that long-term historical perspective. Divine processes unfold over time, not always on our schedule. Confidence lets us endure the night, knowing sunrise is inevitable.
Okay, and let's pair that with another powerful one, this time from Bahá'u'lláh, in gleanings from the writings of Bahá'u'lláh. Let your hearts be confident in the mercy of God, and let your trust be in him who holds the reins of all created things. He is your unfailing helper, your shield, and your fortress. Quote, whatever may befall you is in his wisdom, and whatever trials you meet are but the means by which your faith may grow stronger and your vision be made clearer. Stand firm, for the sun of his bounty ever shines upon you, and the rain of his mercy never ceases to fall. So putting these together, that line, trials are but the means by which your faith may grow stronger, that just flips the script entirely on how we usually see challenges. We naturally avoid difficulty. How does confidence let us actually embrace this view, see trials as opportunities?
It's a radical reframing, isn't it? The second passage describes God not just as helper, but shield, fortress, incredibly strong images of security, an inner sanctuary.
Unfailing helper, shield, fortress.
Yes. But the truly transformative part is seeing trials not as punishments or random bad luck, but as instruments for spiritual growth. Tools to strengthen faith, clarify vision. It changes the whole game. Challenges become opportunities for refinement, for detachment, for gaining insights you couldn't get in times of ease. It's like spiritual alchemy.
Turning lead into gold.
Precisely. So for a Baha'i, this confidence means unwavering service, inner peace, even when results aren't visible, even when things are hard. It's knowing the victory will be made manifest in the fullness of time. It means standing firm through tests, trusting God's wisdom and mercy, believing that everything, even hardship, serves a higher purpose in our spiritual journey. You face the tempest knowing the dawn will break. For the cause, yes, but also for your own soul.
So you're not avoiding the storm, but you know you're protected in it, and the storm itself is actually refining you. That's a profound shift.
It is. And the effect on others when someone lives that way, it's immense. A Baha'i who stays steadfast through difficulties becomes a living beacon of hope, of resilience. They show, just by being, that challenges aren't dead ends. They're pathways to spiritual deepening, to inner strength. That inspires others to face their trials with more courage, more purpose.
Like those historical figures you mentioned, whose strength seemed almost supernatural.
Exactly. Often that deep resilience comes from this kind of conviction, this trust. Their lives prove that faith can conquer fear, and trials do forge strength, radiating outwards. It shows strength isn't avoiding struggle, but growing through it, leaning on that higher power.
Not roadblocks, but pathways. I like that. Okay, let's shift slightly now to confidence specifically in service and connect it to the power of the word itself. First, from Shoghi Effendi in The Advent of Divine Justice. Be confident that your labors in his vineyard will bear fruit, though the harvest may not be immediate. The seeds you plant will spring forth in due season, and the fragrance of your devotion will draw receptive souls. God will never abandon those who rise to serve him with sincerity. His blessings will surround you, and his confirmations will sustain you in every endeavor. Therefore, fear not the magnitude of your task, nor the opposition of men, but place all your hope and trust in his unfailing grace. Okay, that part about labors bearing fruit, though the harvest may not be immediate, that directly challenges our whole instant gratification culture, doesn't it? Wanting results now. How does this kind of confidence sustain effort when you don't see immediate results, when progress feels slow?
It's incredibly relevant today, you're right. Especially for anyone doing long-term, meaningful work, spiritual, social, where results often aren't immediate. Divine confidence, as described here, is the fuel for that persistent, sincere service, regardless of visible results. Shoghi Effendi points to the spiritual impact. Your devotion has a fragrance that draws souls. Even unseen efforts create a spiritual atmosphere, subtly affecting hearts.
Oh, the fragrance.
Yeah, and it assures us that divine blessings and confirmations will sustain sincere effort. Confirmations aren't always huge signs. Sometimes it's just inner peace, unexpected energy, a helpful encounter. This perspective removes the fear of the task's size, fear of opposition. Your focus shifts from the outcome which you can't control to the sincerity of your effort which you can control.
Right, focusing on motive and effort.
Exactly. Trusting divine timing. Knowing some seeds take longer, but they will sprout in due season. That allows for resilience, consistent effort, even when the goal seems far off.
So shifting from performing for results to serving with sincerity, trusting the process. That's key for sustainability. And let's pair that with Bahá'u'lláh from the tablets of Bahá'u'lláh. Be firm in your faith and confident in the power of the word of God, for it is the sword that conquers hearts and the light that disperses darkness. Wow. A sword that conquers hearts, light that disperses darkness. Such vivid imagery. How does confidence in the word itself equip someone for that kind of mission? What does conquering hearts even mean here?
It elevates the whole discussion, focusing on the inherent power within the word of God. That sword isn't physical, obviously, and the conquest isn't coercion, it's spiritual transformation.
Okay.
The sword is the penetrating truth, the compelling logic, the profound love within revelation that cuts through prejudice, ignorance, materialism. It softens, transforms hearts, makes them open. And the light is the spiritual illumination dispelling darkness, ignorance, superstition, division, despair. It lights the path. clarifies principles, reveals reality. So for a Baha'i, this confidence means speaking with conviction, relying not just on personal skill, but on the force of the message itself. It means approaching resistant hearts or deep ignorance with trust, knowing the word itself has power to break through, to awaken souls. Your small effort is part of a divine process guaranteed to succeed because the power is in the word, not just you.
So you're more like a channel for that power, not the source of it. That's a crucial difference.
Precisely. And the effect. A Baha'i serving with that quiet confidence, undeterred by obstacles or lack of immediate praise, becomes an embodiment of spiritual resilience. Their steadfastness, their detachment from results while still being dedicated, inspires others to serve similarly, focusing on sincerity, not just outcomes. It shows true impact isn't always measurable instantly, but lies in the purity of effort, the spiritual energy, the long-term transformation. It loops back to God never abandoning sincere service that's the bedrock.
Okay, we've covered so much ground, trusting God's help, seeing trials as growth, serving with detachment. But there are still more facets to this, aren't there? More passages that weave these threads together. Let's try and consolidate some of these remaining powerful statements, see how they create an even more holistic picture of divine confidence.
Absolutely. There are many nuances that reinforce how all-encompassing this is. Let's look at a few more, see how they deepen what we've already discussed.
Great. First, another from Baha'u'lláh in Gleanings. Put your trust in God and be confident in his power. He it is who guideth the wayfarer in the wilderness, who delivereth the captive from bondage, and who bringeth the seeker to the shores of truth. His bounty is limitless, his mercy unceasing. That imagery guide in the wilderness, deliverer from bondage, is so strong. What does confidence in that kind of power mean?
It portrays God as the ultimate rescuer and guide, emphasizing boundless bounty, unceasing mercy. Confidence here means knowing that no matter how lost or stuck you feel spiritually, emotionally, God's power is actively guiding, delivering, leading towards truth. The wayfarer in the wilderness isn't just literal, it's spiritual confusion, doubt. Confidence means knowing an infallible compass is always there. Captive from bondage includes freedom from prejudice, addiction, fear. Confidence means knowing liberation is possible with his help.
And it's limitless, unceasing.
Always available, always flowing, ready to sustain us the moment we turn to him.
Okay. Next, from Abdu'l-Bahá in Tablets of the Divine Plan. Be strong in faith, for the armies of the kingdom are with you. If you place your confidence wholly in God, you will see his confirmations descend like rain, refreshing and strengthening your soul. Confirmations descend like rain. That's almost tangible. What does this tell us about the experience of trusting God?
It really emphasizes the tangible, sensory nature of these confirmations.
Yeah.
When trust is whole, they're not abstract. They're like refreshing rain, strengthening the soul. Think of that feeling: refreshment, revitalization. Spiritually, confirmations can be inner certainty, insights, courage, peace. They're God's way of affirming our path, giving spiritual sustenance. It's belief becoming lived reality.
Belief becoming reality.
It connects back to those hosts or armies of the kingdom. Confirmations are how that unseen help becomes felt, becomes known.
Building on that, another from Abdu'l-Bahá in Selections. Rely upon the assistance of God and be assured that he will aid you in the promotion of his cause. The hosts of the Supreme Concourse are your companions, and the light of his guidance is your unfailing lamp. Hosts of the Supreme Concourse as companions, an unfailing lamp. What does that mean practically for someone trying to serve?
It reiterates that companionship. It's not just God helping, it's a whole spiritual realm, unseen souls supporting our righteous efforts. We're never truly alone. And the unfailing lamp means constant, unwavering illumination for our path, even in darkness. Divine wisdom is always accessible, clarifying our steps. For someone serving, this banishes isolation, inadequacy. You draw on infinite aid and clarity.
Fostering courage and persistence.
Exactly, knowing that powerful support is always there.
Now, a really crucial distinction from Abdu'l-Bahá's Paris talks. When man relies upon his own power, he will stumble. But when he places his confidence in God, he will be sustained by the mightiest of helpers. That contrast is stark. Human power leads to stumbling. Divine confidence leads to sustenance. Why is that distinction so vital?
It highlights our inherent limits versus God's infinite capacity. Relying solely on our own power, our intellect, strength, ego often leads to burnout, frustration, stumbling, because we are finite.
Right. We hit walls.
But trusting God connects us to the mightiest of helpers. We tap into an inexhaustible source of strength, wisdom, patience, love. It's not passivity. It's realizing true strength comes from aligning with and drawing upon infinite power. That sustenance might look like renewed energy, unexpected solutions, the right words, inner peace to persevere. It's being empowered by God, not just by self-effort.
A total reorientation of where strength comes from. Okay, and thinking about effort, Shoghi Effendi in The Light of Divine Guidance says, "Do not be troubled if your work seems fruitless. Trust in God's wisdom and be confident that He will make it effective in ways you cannot foresee." This really speaks to trusting the long game, even when things look bleak. How does this deepen confidence?
It reinforces that long-term divine perspective, especially when immediate results aren't visible. It acknowledges that spiritual work often operates on timelines beyond our sight. Do not be troubled if your work seems fruitless.
Yeah.
It validates that feeling but urges trust in God's wisdom. His ways of making things effective might be totally unforeseen by us.
Maybe indirect effects or effects years later.
Exactly. It's crucial for service. Release attachment to immediate results. Focus on pure intention, consistent effort. It builds patience, resilience, knowing the divine gardener tends the seeds. No sincere effort is wasted.
Freeing us from discouragement. Now, building on that trust, Abdu'l-Bahá in Selections says, "The more you trust in God, the more He will sustain you. The more you rely upon His guidance, the more luminous your path will become." That sounds like a direct feedback loop. More trust equals more sustenance, more reliance equals more light. What does that imply?
It implies a dynamic proportional relationship. Spiritual progress is tied to our degree of trust and reliance. Each act of trust, of surrender, opens us more to divine sustenance, not just survival, but thriving, and consciously seeking and following. His guidance makes our spiritual vision clearer, our path brighter. It's active co-creation. Our effort to trust elicits more grace and clarity.
So it's an upward spiral, potentially.
A virtuous cycle, yes. Every step of trust is affirmed, inspiring deeper trust, leading to an ever brighter journey. It encourages active engagement in that cycle.
Okay, and here's a really powerful one from Abdu'l-Bahá in Star of the West. "If thou puttest thy trust wholly in God, He will so fill thy heart with confidence that thou wilt become fearless before all men." Fearless before all men. That's striking. How does total trust lead to that? What does that fearlessness look like? Is it aggression?
No, not aggression or bravado at all. It's a profound inner transformation that transcends human opinion, judgment, opposition. When trust is wholly in God, external pressures lose their grip. Fear of criticism, persecution, failure based on what others think, it just dissolves.
Because your anchor is elsewhere.
Exactly. Your worth and security are rooted in God. So this fearlessness looks like calm assurance, inner peace, steadfast resolve to act on principle regardless of reaction. It allows speaking truth, standing for justice, serving without needing applause or fearing blame. It's liberation from the anxieties that often rule human interaction, allowing integrity and spiritual authority.
And building on that ultimate security, Shoghi Effendi in The World Order of Baha'u'lláh, confidence in the power of God enables the believer to face every test with calm assurance, knowing that no force in creation can oppose His will. No force can oppose His will. That's absolute. How does that certainty bring calm in any test?
It's the ultimate assurance. Knowing God's power means understanding that nothing, no opposition, calamity, human plan, natural disaster, can ultimately stop His divine plan. This provides unshakable calm even in the worst tests. It doesn't mean no pain, but even through pain, there's certainty God's purpose prevails. It removes anxiety about the ultimate outcome because trust is in an infallible, omnipotent will. You face challenges serenely, knowing divine wisdom is at work, guiding all things. It's ultimate spiritual peace.
And finally, the capstone from Baha'u'lláh in Gleanings. "Be thou confident that the cause of God will triumph and His word will prevail. All things are in His grasp, and no power can withstand His decree." The ultimate declaration, the cause will triumph. How does this universal assurance tie everything together?
It's the ultimate conviction, yes. Absolute certainty that despite challenges, setbacks, opposition, the divine plan will unfold, God's word will prevail. Nothing can stop it. This underpins everything else. It provides the context for personal fearlessness, steadfastness, tireless service. Knowing the ultimate victory is assured frees the individual from needing to achieve it alone. Your efforts become joyful participation in a divine process already destined to succeed. It transforms struggles into meaningful contributions to an unstoppable spiritual movement, infusing every act with purpose and serene confidence. So when you put it all together, living this as a Baha'i means a life of surrender, reliance. Strength comes from God, not self. Facing every test with calm assurance, knowing God's will ultimately triumphs. Someone embodying this doesn't just manage peace, they radiate it. They become this embodiment of peace and strength, inspiring others to let go of self-reliance and embrace divine sustenance. It's infectious, really. A testament to a life lived in harmony with the divine.
That's incredibly insightful. This deep dive really shows that Baha'i confidence isn't about ego, is it? It's this profound, abiding trust in God's wisdom, love, and unfailing help. And we've seen how it transforms fear into courage, hesitation into resolve, despair into this steadfast hope rooted in certainty. So as we finish up, maybe something to think about. How could you consciously bring this divine confidence into your own life? Daily. In your service, your relationships, your prayers, how you face challenges, what shifts might happen if you truly anchored your heart in that trust, knowing, as we heard, the Almighty walks beside you every step. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive on spiritual confidence. We really hope it offered some fresh perspective. Do join us for future deep dives as we explore more of these uplifting concepts. Next week, we'll be looking into the beautiful virtue of consideration. Looking forward to unpacking that with you. And if you found this valuable, please do subscribe, like, comment, or share it with others. It really helps us reach more people. Also, if you'd like to support the channel's growth, YouTube memberships are available starting from just 99 cents, giving early access and upcoming exclusive content. We really appreciate your support. Until next time, thanks for listening.